Hello, my friends. My name is Papaneeks, and I would like to welcome you to my playthrough of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. You guys know this from my previous playthroughs. I love StarCraft. Absolutely love it. The expansion has not yet come out. It comes out next week, but they have made it where there is these prologue missions. A prologue to the story, and they've made them available to everybody. With the recent software update to this game, which completely revamped how the game looks, the menu and user interface, our hero for this expansion, Artanis, is here, and they added a little something to help get people excited, called the story so far. So let's take a look at this.
For nearly 300 years, humans thought they were alone in the Cthulhu sector. They were wrong. The Zerg emerged, seeking to consume all in their path, and before long, the Protoss, a highly advanced alien race, began wiping out
going to recap the whole story, I think.
Burning Zerg and Terran alike. A three-way war.
This is for those of you who are unaware of the story.
Faced, erupted almost overnight. All the while, a human civil war raged. Marshal Jim Raynor vowed to oppose the corrupt dictator Arcturus Minsk for the betrayal of the woman he loved, Sarah Kerrigan.
Boys, how about that evac?
Damn you, Arcturus. Don't do this.
It's done. Helmsman,
Minsk.
signal the fleet and take us out of orbit. Now.
Kerrigan, a loyal
Poor
operative,
Sarah.
was left to die at the hands of the Zerg. But the Zerg had other plans. They transformed her and unleashed her psionic power upon the Cthulhu sector, searching
The
for
Queen
their
of
real
Blades.
objective, the Protoss homeworld of Ire. The
Yep,
Protoss
the Overmind.
were aware of this danger and slow to respond. Their rulers, the
Yeah,
Conclave,
'cause the
had
Conclave
dispatched
were ridiculous.
Executor Artanis to hunt for Tassadar, a commander who had refused to wipe out infested Terran worlds. They crossed paths with a Dark Templar mystic whose kind was considered heretics by the
Zeratul.
Conclave. Through great effort, Zeratul convinced Tassadar and Artanis that he was not their enemy. Together they rallied more Protoss from both factions against the Zerg. Despite the Conclave's fury, they achieved significant victories against the Swarm. But when Zeratul struck down one of the Overmind's cerebrates, his own mind was left vulnerable. From his thoughts, the Overmind gleaned Ire's true location, and the Swarm descended upon the Protoss homeworld with all their might and fury. It was Tassadar who kept the Templar from extinction that day. Using the power of both the Templar and the Dark Templar, he sacrificed himself to kill the Overmind. Ire was lost, but Artanis led the survivors to the Dark Templar's homeworld of Shakuras.
Now
All
we move into the
prejudices were
expansion
set
Brood
aside.
War.
The Templar were now in the Dark Templar's debt. Without the Overmind, the Swarm fractured. Kerrigan sought control of all the Zerg, even enlisting the aid of old friends and enemies like
Pretty much
Raynor,
tricking them.
Minsk, and Zeratul. Once her rule was uncontested, the Queen of Blades betrayed them all. Billions of humans and Protoss were killed. The Zerg stood unchallenged, but to the relief of all, the war seemed to end there.
Now we start to
Zeratul
move
suspected
into
the Zerg had fallen
StarCraft 2,
under the
Wings of
control
Liberty.
Dark forces. He uncovered prophecies stating that an ancient entity, Amon, was attempting to merge Protoss and Zerg life forms into an unholy hybrid, and that this evil might already have control of Kerrigan and her power.
And it did. Which a lot of people seem to not realize or just forget.
During this time that Executor Artanis, hailed as a hero, was made leader of both the Templar and the Dark Templar.
Nice!
As Hierarch, Artanis united both factions and promised to one day reclaim the glory they had lost on Ire.
Nice. And that's who we're going to be playing in this expansion.
Raynor had vowed to see Kerrigan dead, but his retaliatory strike failed. Even his rebellion against
Jim.
Minx's tyranny proved ineffective against the Dominion's propaganda machine. But with the
So this is
arrival
what happened in
old
Wings of
friends
Liberty.
and mysterious new allies, Raynor revived his campaign against the Dominion, scoring major victories on multiple fronts.
Yep.
But Zeratul warned him about the encroaching darkness, and said the key to stopping Amon was the Queen of Blades. She was needed alive. In a daring raid on the Zerg homeworld of Char, armies from the Dominion and Raynor, with help from Arcturus' son Valerian.
Ooh, now what
used
role
an
will
ancient
Valerian play?
Xel'Naga artifact to neutralize Kerrigan's power and free her from Amon's grasp. The Queen
I
of
loved
Blades
this ending
was
to Wings of
helpless.
Liberty.
The Dominion wanted her dead. Raynor couldn't
Nope.
allow it.
It's okay. I got you.
I gotcha.
Valerian Minsk offered them sanctuary, but his father could not let this opportunity pass. During the raid,
This is what
Kerrigan
happened in
and
Heart
Raynor
of the
were
Swarm.
separated. Kerrigan escaped, while Raynor...
He was briefly interrogated and summarily executed.
Kerrigan sought vengeance.
Or so we
She set out
thought.
to reclaim her position as Queen of Blades. With Zeratul
get revenge on Minsk.
Kerrigan gathered the Zerg broods and ruled the swarm once again. Only this time, free.
The killing will
Free of Amon's control.
until Minsk is dead.
Kerrigan began dismantling the Dominion's military, one mission at a time. To her surprise, she learned that Raynor was still alive.
And for a moment there, he
She
dumped her
charted a
because he
course
was
to
upset she
Cornwall,
turned back.
Minsk's stronghold. Despite encountering his best troops and traps, she personally ended his life.
Yep, in an
There
epic
was little time
fashion.
to celebrate. Amon's plans were still unfolding. Kerrigan left Raynor to rebuild, while she hunted her true enemy. Raynor and Valerian Minsk set about reforming the Dominion with a just government. With the Zerg and Terrans quelled, Hierarch Artanis saw an opportunity. He declared that the unified Protoss, Templar and Dark Templar alike, would retake Ire. Any dissenting
Nice.
voices went unheard amid the hope for reclamation. Zeratul set off alone, searching for the truth, hoping against hope that the Hierarch was not making a terrible mistake.
Which I guess now leads us into the Whispers of Oblivion prologue missions. That was cool. That was a really awesome, well put together story so far, cinematic, helping properly recap the entire story. The setting of what the first game was all about, the story of the first game, the Brood War expansion, both Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. So that way, if you didn't play any of those before, and you are brand new to the story, and I mean, that was as good of a recap as I think you're gonna get. That was very well done by Blizzard. I'm so glad that they included that. That's really cool. So that way, in case you haven't checked out my playthroughs of the original game, as well as Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, you don't necessarily have to, although I would love it if you went ahead and did that. But if you don't want to do that, there you go. That pretty much just recapped the whole story for you. Which will now lead us here into Whispers of Oblivion, where it says, Zeratul, branded a heretic and a traitor by his people, has spent the last 6 years searching for the truth behind the return of the Xel'Naga. Having delivered warnings to both the Terrans and Zerg, the part of the Protoss must play in galactic events still eludes him. So when we come back, we will be starting the Whispers of Oblivion prologue, leading into Legacy of the Void. Stay tuned.